So today I'm going to talk about probably the biggest television show in my life, and I know in a lot of other people's lives as well. That is, of course, Doctor Who. And I think I could probably make a 2 hour video on this, but I'm going to try and keep it as concise as possible. We'll try and keep it to below 20 minutes, I think, because I do have a lot of stuff to say. So, where do you begin when you're talking about your relationship with Doctor Who? It's something that I've had to think about quite a bit. Where do I begin? And how do I explain my love for the show? I was born in 1993 and hence grew up without Doctor Who being on the television. That didn't mean that I didn't grow up without it. So I was born in 1993, and of course, as you'll all know, Doctor Who had a hiatus, with the exception of the television movie starring Paul McGann in 1996. Doctor Who was not on television from 1989 until it was revived by Russell T Davies in 2005. So my entire childhood consisted of Doctor Who not being on the television. However, my father, who has a very good a taste of TV programs and films, and he showed me, the first one he ever showed me was the Peter Cushing Dalek movies. Now, a lot of people don't like the Dalek movies. They think they were used to cash in on the success of the Daleks in the 1960s, because the Daleks were as big as the Beatles in the 60s. It was just exploded, and the Daleks are what have cemented Doctor Who in history. And so I watched the films, and to a 4-year-old child like I was, they were outstanding. The Daleks were big, colourful. You had a red Dalek, which had never been in Doctor Who before. I think they introduced a red Dalek in the revived series, but a red Dalek had never been in the original classic Doctor Who episodes. But you had one in the film. It was amazing. The two films, and so I watched those, and that was what got me hooked into Doctor Who. So I thank those films, because if it hadn't been for them, I don't know if I would have liked it as much. Because I remember when you used to colour TV, and my dad first showed me the William Hartnell first Dalek story, and I didn't really like it because it was in black and white, which is not, doesn't make a difference to me. I actually prefer black and white television to colour, which will give you some sort of idea of why I'm stuck in the 60s and hate modern life. But I didn't like the black and white episodes at first. It took me a long time to get to enjoy the black and white episodes. But I thought it was a real shame, because they'd planned to make another Peter Cushing movie. They'd planned to do one based on The Chase. So obviously the first movie was based on the Dalek story, the first Dalek story. The second movie was based on the second Dalek story, the Dalek invasion of Earth. And they had actually planned to do one based on the third Dalek story, which was The Chase. But sadly, it didn't really happen. I think the second film didn't do as well as was expected. However, the two films we've got are very good, and of course Peter Cushing, Cushing, I think it's got G. Yeah, Peter Cushing, just outstanding. We'll be talking about Hammer films in subsequent videos, but things like Peter Cushing, Roy Castle, who's in the first movie, Bernard Cribbins, who's in the second movie. He plays, of course, Wilf in the David Tennant stories, Donna's grandfather. Or uncle, whatever it is, I'm not too sure. So anyway, that's what got me started off, and basically I lived in a sort of golden time I think I grew up in a golden time where Doctor Who actually wasn't on, and so there were no when I was growing up there were no other Doctor Who fans my age except one person, Robbie Marshall. We were the only, as far as I was concerned, he was the only other person in the world my age that watched Doctor Who and liked Doctor Who. Um, I'll need to get in touch with him. Actually, I've not seen him in a while. And but as far as no one else liked Doctor Who, and so I think we gained an appreciation that people who lived through the classic series don't have, and people who have only started watching it since the rebooted series don't have. I'm not saying we're better than you. I'm just saying that we have a much more of a appreciation because we didn't grow up with it. And let's face it, we're better than you. I will be discussing how Doctor Who fans are possibly the worst fans of anything in the world, but we'll get onto that a bit later. So Doctor Who for me, it was something to be savoured really, and to watch them on the old VHS and think, oh, this is great. But once I've finished all of these, there's never going to be any more. So I want to impress upon you just how much of a Doctor Who fan I was, and indeed still am. It was the only thing I watched growing up, apart from other things like Laurel and Hardy, which we'll discuss, which, funnily enough, they were in black and white, but I didn't mind them so much. We'll explore why that is. I'll need to think about why that is, and we'll discuss it. But so growing up with Doctor Who, that was fine, and then I would have been about 12 when it was rebooted, and was very impressed with the first episode with Christopher Eccleston. It just felt like a movie, and they did very well with that. The differences between the classic series and the new series, I do think it's obviously very, very different aesthetically. Obviously. Not that I necessarily think that the old Doctor Who's look bad. They do look a bit outdated, but like I say, I prefer the older stuff. I like the stuff that looks outdated and the not so fast-paced dialogue. It was more of a drama series back then, as well as being a sci-fi series. This classic sort of BBC version of drama, like the Pallisers. That epic TV series they had based on the books by Anthony Trollope. But I digress. So the new series is obviously fantastic, and I think because I didn't Doctor Who wasn't on the television when I was a child, I appreciate it more, and this is why I've said that Doctor Who fans are the worst in the world, because they are so, and with the Facebook, they can just write down this vitriol, and it just angers me so much, because you've got this program that doesn't need to be on TV. It owes you nothing. It owes you nothing. It doesn't matter if you've been a fan for 10 years or 50 years. It owes you nothing. It's a program that exists, and I think people need Doctor Who more than Doctor Who needs people. There will always be fans, so if you go off in a huff and say, I'm not watching it anymore, it doesn't matter, because so many other people do. But these people, they seem to think that they're better than the showrunners. I think Russell T Davies had his detractors, as does, which is evidenced much more prevalently now because of the explosion of like Facebook. There are a lot of people who just think that they can do a better job than Stephen Moffat. If that's the case, why don't you write a script and submit it to the BBC and see how well you get on? I'm sure that there are people out there who could write a better script than Stephen Moffat. But where are they? Where are they? They seem to be able to just write it on Facebook how much they hate what Stephen Moffat's doing with the show, and how they hated the last episode, and how it's not Doctor Who anymore. And a lot of these people, they've only started watching since the reboot, and so they're not real Doctor Who fans anyway. They're only new Doctor Who fans, and that's just not good enough. So I'm very biased towards it. I don't accept criticism of Doctor Who from people who only watch the new series, which a lot of them do. So, Doctor Who fans, they just most of them are okay actually, but there's people who just like to complain, and I don't know why I do it to myself. Every time there's a new Doctor Who episode, I go on to the Doctor Who Facebook page, and most people are, oh, that was really good, and some of them are just like, Stephen Moffat is ruining the show, this is awful, we'll bring back Russell T Davies, even though when he was in control I hated him then, but now he's gone, I miss him, blah 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 blah. And I'm in a bit of a mood today. So the problem with Doctor Who is that we're not going to have an episode in 2016. We're only going to have the Christmas episode, and we have to wait all the way until next year to get the next season, which will sadly be Stephen Moffat's last season. I think Stephen Moffat's great, by the way. That's my opinion on him. He's one of the best things that ever happened to Doctor Who. Certainly the new series, anyway. So I want him to continue, but I think it's his time. He wants to leave, either that or he's maybe gotten fired, because he does have a bit of negative press, and the ratings for Doctor Who haven't been that great. Sadly, I don't know why, because I think Peter Capaldi's a great Doctor. He's one of my favourite Doctors now. And I will get into more. I'll do individual profiles on all the actors who played the Doctor. But I think just talking about this this previous series, which had I think my favourite episode in the entire, I'd say at least it's in the top 5 of my favourite episodes of the new series since 2005 would be Heaven Sent. I thought that was a masterpiece of Doctor Who writing. It was so clever and so well done, and props to Peter Capaldi. I think the episode was almost an hour long, and he's the only person in it, apart from Jenna Louise Coleman, who has a sort of cameo role. But Peter Capaldi, to hold that interest for almost an hour in one of the most cleverest Doctor Who episodes that we've seen in a long time, I don't think Russell T Davies could ever have produced anything like that. Not that I want to get into a debate or an argument about who's better, but I think Stephen Moffat has just done so well with that previous season that the whole one from like The Magician's Apprentice with Davros right through, and it did have a couple of dodgy episodes like that. Sleep No More was it. I didn't personally think it was one of the greatest, but I didn't rush online to complain about it either. It was just one of the weaker episodes in what was a fantastic season. So comparatively, if you're going to put that episode in with the Davros two-parter, the Zygons, the one that was underwater with in that base, I thought that was also outstanding as well, with the sort of people turned into ghosts. And then you've got the one with Maisie Williams and stuff. I thought it was a very interesting story arc. And it really paid off. And the last episode, Hellbent, it's making me, like, I want to cry right now with how good that episode was. It was outstanding, and it was sort of like a love letter to the 60s. The moment when they steal the TARDIS for a second time, and it's like the William Hartnell TARDIS. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed that. That's been the best. I'd say that's been the best season of the new series, and certainly Heaven Sent and probably Hellbent as well are definitely 2 episodes that are in my top 5 for the new series since 2005. So that's kind of my relationship with Doctor Who. I enjoy it that it's still there, but I don't. If something happens that I don't really like, or there's an episode that I thought, oh, that wasn't so great, I don't complain about it. I think to myself, well, hold on a minute here. That we have Doctor Who on the television. It wasn't on the television when I was a child, and now it's on the television. So I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Don't complain when you see an episode you don't like, because you're just being a whiny little bitch. And there was a great comment I saw on Facebook. Someone had been just talking about how they hated Stephen Moffat, and someone had posted it. I don't know what it was. Things Stephen Moffat has done. Given us 2 new Doctors, 3 new TARDIS interiors, exciting storylines, blah blah. And then he put things you've done, being a whiny little bitch. And I thought that was brilliant. So I should probably curb this video. Like I said, I could talk for 2 hours on Doctor Who. I think I'm one of the biggest fans. I'm certainly a bigger fan than people who just watch the new series. And Doctor Who is a show that is very, very close to me, and I do enjoy everything that encompasses. I didn't really watch Torchwood, but the other sort of supporting material, like the Big Finish audio dramas and all the books and stuff like that. So this Doctor Who is going to be a major part of this this YouTube channel, because there's just so much to say about it. It's been going on for 53 years now. It'll be 53 years in November, I believe. 54? It started in 1963, this is 2016. So yeah, it'll be 53 in November. And we'll obviously have to do a special video on that. But this was just basically a sort of overview of my relationship with Doctor Who. And essentially, I'm going to be doing a lot more. I'm going to be doing a sort of, hour-long profile on William Hartnell, hour-long profile on Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, all the Doctors. And what I'm going to try and do, I don't know if this is going to work, I'm going to try and do the Doctor Who challenge, which is basically to watch every single episode from An Unearthly Child up until whatever episode is aired next. There's several problems with that, because a lot of the William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton ones are missing. However, what I do have is I have the audio versions. In the 90s, the BBC released the audio versions of them, because even though the visual aspect was wiped, they still kept the audio. Or maybe someone had recorded them and handed them into the BBC or whatever. So I think it is possible to access in some shape or form every single episode of Doctor Who. I don't think there's a single episode that hasn't survived in some form, even if it's just a few pictures or whatever. So that's going to be something that I'm hoping to do, as well as just doing normal episode reviews and talking about current affairs in Doctor Who. So anyway, I'm going to stop it there, because this is going to be a very boring video. If you've made it this far, just to let me know, comment, I don't know, just comment down the bottom, I've made it this far, and that'll let me know if people find this interesting or not. Because if people don't find it interesting, then I'll try and cut them down and make them, a bit more watchable. I've just started out on this channel. So anyway, that's my relationship with Doctor Who. It's going to be a major part of this channel, and I really, really hope to meet some people who enjoy Doctor Who. Perhaps you were the same as me and you grew up without Doctor Who being on the television, and you had to rely on the good old VHS to get that Doctor Who fix. Please do let me know, and I hope this can be a good thing. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye for just now, and I'll see you in the next video.